Welcome to the Determined Mom Show, the only marketing podcast dedicated to guiding mom CEOs into tranquility, wealth, and multiplying those precious moments. Welcome to this episode of the Determined Mom Show. I have with me Dana LaRieal Morales, and she is the holistic process strategist and owner of the Happiness Bucket. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Good to be back.
Yeah, this is her second appearance on the show. And I wanted to have her back because she has literally been like blowing my mind up every week and like just inserting these like crazy like organization knowledge bombs into my brain every single week. And I wanted all of you to be able to have that experience and soak up her knowledge and her expertise. So today we're going to talk about how to organize your home, business, and personal life to set yourself up for success. People didn't listen to the previous episode. Tell us about yourself.
Obviously, my name is Dana LaRieal Morales. I am a full-time project manager. I'm a certified project manager for a law firm by day. And I like to say I then put on my cape at night and become the holistic process strategist for the everyday person. So my audience is typically solopreneurs and side hustlers who are solopreneurs as well, because that is exactly what I am. So I understand that clientele and their needs. So it's really about helping them have holistic balance within their business and their life, and their business, their homes, and their personal lives. That's where the holistic part comes from, because you, as a solopreneur, you have a lot of hats. And so you have to put all of them on at various times. So that is pretty much what I do. I am a mom of an 8-year-old, rambunctious 8-year-old going on 40. And I am all married as well. So I get it all. I understand, definitely.
Awesome. Yeah. And Dana is literally just a ray of sunshine in my life. So that is why I just can't say enough good things about her. But I know that, well, let's say we know, like you and I know that my life is a mess. So
now, see, I shouldn't be, I'm not nodding my head at that.
But we know that my inbox is a mess. We know that my, everything is a mess. My office is a mess. All of the things are a mess. And it's because I have 3 kids and the business and the husband and the house and all of the things that, to take care of. But you have a way of like breaking it down for us. So that way we can like literally understand like the bigger picture and then understand the little parts and then organize them in order to get the stuff done. So
yeah.
I
love it because every time I talk to you, I get new ahas of, little moments to share. And I mean, it's so helpful for me, but it's hilarious because as much as you say, I help you, you help me as well. Just, sometimes you just need to hear from the people that you're talking to know that, hey, it is working for me.
Yeah.
I know it works for my clients, but when I'm just talking to the general public that, I'm just sharing nuggets, it is enjoyable to hear how it is impacting your life. So that's appreciated.
It truly is. And I am an Organized Academy member and I love all of the trainings in there. So that's an amazing, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But first, let's talk about your home. What is like the best way to kind of organize your house? I mean, like, I know you break it down easily, but to me, it's like, oh my God, organizing my house. And I think of like all of the mess like coming in.
And that's what a lot of people do. They think of the totality of the job or the totality of the thing. And that is so overwhelming to most people because you're looking at every room, every closet, every drawer, every single piece of stuff that encompasses your life. And the truth is that you are doing yourself a disservice by doing that, because there are so many nooks and crannies within your home. And it'd be different, I think, if it were just you in your physical space, because you can control everything that happens. And if there's a mess, you did it. Yeah. But most of us have children, most of us have a spouse. And so when you start adding people to the equation, that creates habit. right? So the first thing that I would suggest to anyone is stop stressing yourself out by looking at the totality of the thing and really narrow down to one particular space. And when I say that, I'm not saying look at just one room. I'm saying look at your desk, your desktop. Like if right now, if I really focus on the desk that's in front of me, I have the desktop, I have two desk drawers, I have a desk shelf. So really looking at that as 4 separate places and really harnessing in or focusing in on one of them and tackling that one area first. And even in tackling that, say, okay, you know what, let me just focus on removing the garbage. Like that's just step 1.
Yeah.
Once you do that, then it's like, oh man, I see some relief. I'm getting excited. I'm seeing some change. Then say, okay, let's group the like things together, and I'm oversimplifying, but I mean, that's exactly how I do it with clients, is really just saying, okay, let's back this up and let's not try to accomplish, 5 years worth of mess into an hour. Like that's not realistic. Yeah. So I really try to get you to stop looking at everything at the same time.
Yeah, that's awesome. And when you said that your first piece of advice for people that have all of the havoc coming in, I thought you were going to say, make enough money to rent your own apartment so you don't have to deal with their stuff. No, just kidding.
That's not a bad idea.
I know, right? That's what I was thinking. I'm like, ooh, she's going to tell us to rent our own apartment.
But you know what? That doesn't work. That doesn't work. So in my home, I have my own office. And when we decided to set my office up, I said, this is mommy's space. This is my space. It's special for me. And my daughter has slowly moved her way in here, and I think that that's normal for everybody who either works outside of their home or has dedicated space in their home, is that your family, your family wants to be part of your life. Your family wants to be part of really your business too. Yeah. They want to understand, what is it that you do? And you're spending so much time here. I still want to be around you. I want to be in your atmosphere. And so you may see that happens throughout your space, or even if you dedicated some space to yourself. So just understanding that and working to make that more of a unified space, unless you're absolutely like, no.
Yeah.
There's not going to be my desk in here for my daughter. There's not going to be, yeah. And you can have that limitation or that boundary, and that's fine, but making sure everybody understands that boundary is important as well. So, I mean, there's so much, and most people, when I hear them talking about home organization, they try to lump, just like when we try to address it, we try to address too much at one time. The same when I'm hearing people talk about it, we oversimplify how to do it. And there are so many little pieces and so many little nuggets of information that it's really hard to encompass it into a small bucket of information. So just being able to understand that there are those navigational pieces that you have to give yourself time and grace to comprehend and to really embrace in your particular environment, because everybody's environment is different.
Yeah. And I guess everybody's environment's different, how many people they have, their space, there's so many variables, what they do in that space. So many variables. It's just incredible. And
how you work, like some people they're very visual. And so if there's too much stuff in the space, they can't be creative. They can't really, it clutters their mind. Others, if it's too clean, they can't focus. They can't function properly. If it's out of sight, it's out of mind. There's so many little personality traits that affect how you organize and how you succeed in your organization as well. Yeah. So just taking somebody else's organizational structure and trying to pick it up and place it into your environment, a lot of people do that. Like that is number one thing that I see people doing. That's the wrong thing to do, because you aren't taking their variables and plucking it in with it, right? Yeah. And so you're like, oh yeah, and I always use the example of these containers look great, and oh, this is going to look really good in my room, and so then I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to put it in my space because I saw it in a magazine and it looks so good. And then you get it here and you're like, but it's not working. It just doesn't work. And you're like, no, there's nothing wrong with the container. Is that you are trying to pick that up and use that system that they established in your space and it doesn't suit your space or the way that you work. And so for you, it is a fail, right? Because it's just not going to work because you didn't incorporate your process and your needs into that environment.
Yeah.
So that's what we like to call in Organized Academy, that is a beautification stage item. And that's not supposed to be done until the 4th stage. So most people are doing that beautification stuff first because it's the fun part, right? It's the exciting part. And I want to, rose gold is out, and you go and buy that basket because it's so pretty, but you have no idea where you're going to use it or how you're going to use it or if you even need it.
Yeah.
And so your system, at the point when you picked that basket up and took it to TJ Maxx's checkout line, okay, no shade to TJ Maxx because I absolutely love them. But the minute you picked that up and bought it, your system or your process or whatever it is failed because you started doing that before you even knew what you needed it for or where it was going to be living in your environment. And so that, I try to encourage, because that's all I can do, my community not to do that and to do the stages in order so that they're setting themselves up for success. And then once you get that system developed, you can then buy all the pretty things that make sense for your environment. And that's where we're leading to purposeful spending.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's feeling this right now, but I feel like you follow me around in my real life. And you're like, oh, she's going to do it. She's going to fail. Hold on. Look,
don't do it.
Pulling the card out. Nope.
Oh my gosh. My mom is so funny because I do this to her and I have the same conversations with her and she'll say, do you like this? And I keep focusing on baskets because that's just the easy thing. But do you like this basket? And I'm like, it's pretty. Yeah. But where are you putting it? What are you using that for? And she will just kind of look at me, glaze over. She's like, you make me sick. I'm just telling you. So we've done that so often that now she will literally call me after she's gone shopping or whatever. She's like, I saw a pretty basket today, but I didn't get it because all I could hear you saying is, where are you going to put it? And I put it back. So, I mean, it's training, right? You're in training. And it's understanding that I am like that person sitting on your shoulder. And I'm like, no, come on, Amanda.
I think we need to have an app that's like all of these things that Dana says. And we'll say, where are you going to put it? And then we'll push the button right as we're getting to the checkout.
Right.
And we'll be like, oh, she's right. And then we'll go put it back.
Put that back. Just go on.
Exactly. I totally need this. Don't click that button.
Right.
I need that one. I need that for the computer too. Don't put that in your cart. I think that's a whole nother service.
That's a whole nother.
But okay, so we've kind of got a little bit of the home down. You kind of broke down that really important part of removing the trash and just focusing on one, even though it's one area, your desk, you broke it down into different compartments, which I love. And it makes it seem a lot more doable than imagining my gigantic house with all of the rooms and all of the things. Let's talk about business. And this is probably my favorite part because there's so much to organize in your business that you didn't even know about.
There is so much. And most solopreneurs don't even know 5% of it. And that excites me, not because they don't know, but because I see that as an opportunity for growth for everybody. And especially depending on where you are in your business, from the very beginning person who's just starting that really is green, to the person who's been in business for 4 or 5 years and just never knew they needed to put this process into their business, and that would save them 4 hours during their day, or 4 hours during their week by just making one small change, and that is the exciting aha moments that I see, that it's just like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me right now?
That is totally me. I'm the second person, and I've been blown away. The email organization, I'm not as good at deleting emails as I should be. I hang on to them for some reason. I'm going to need that AppSumo email in 2 years about, some sale that's not even relevant anymore, but I like to keep it.
But you know what? In the email course within the Academy, one of the things that we actually address, and I'll just kind of pepper this out there, is that you don't have to delete necessarily. It depends on the process that you establish.
Mhm.
So I am not a zero inbox person. I am not, because I'm like, there are too many that come in during the day. And considering that I have 3 different mailboxes, you think about, I work a full-time job. I have my business. I have my personal life. So really, I have 3 different mailboxes. And so if I tried to keep everyone at 0, I can't do it. So I've established a process by which you don't have to worry about that. And for those who have that mindset of, oh, I may need this in 2 years, guess what? We have a process. Now, I'm not saying that is to keep emails forever, but it's to gradually get you past that point. So just as a high level, if you have what I like to call a command center, and you're moving things over into specific categories within that command center, when the 2-year mark hits, it's going to fall off, and you're not even going to have to deal with it, because you set certain processes up in your environment that cleanse. That it's a self-cleansing system. I talk about that all the time, about developing those self-cleansing systems. And so that's what, I teach people to do, because who has time? All those freebies that you signed up for and never looked at, and they put you on a mailing list. Do you have time to really go back and read the person who's sending, 2-3 emails a day? No. Right. And so it's like, to go in and even delete those items can be time consuming. And so understanding that, I'm like, let's develop a system to address that from the top.
It is time consuming. And the freebie thing, that's a whole nother thing, but that's a whole nother episode too. But it is really difficult. I do like that Google has added that little like unsubscribe, like, you haven't read any of these emails, would you like to unsubscribe? And I'm like, yeah, let's do that, but I've realized that if you don't remember like your password, if there was like a login and password and they require you to unsubscribe or like log in to unsubscribe, then you're screwed.
Yeah.
Like,
and can I just get on the soapbox for a second? Because, specifically for our solopreneurs you all should have an email management system, right? But that's a whole nother story. But on that, hopefully these tools and these systems will have a way so that when you unsubscribe, if somebody on your list wants to unsubscribe, they should not have to put in their email address. They shouldn't have, it should automatically know who they are. And that drives me nuts, because it's like, oh, you want to unsubscribe? Well, I'm going to make you jump through some hurdles to do this thing. So, that's nothing that, I guess we can control it based on the tools we use. But if you haven't gotten your EMS, look for how do they unsubscribe people, because that is a pet peeve of mine. And that's the quickest way to get on a block list in my world. Because I'm like, if you're asking me to do that, I don't want this and I don't remember, and I'm not going to take 30 minutes to try to figure it out. So guess what? It's blocked.
Yeah. Spam, that's what I do too. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think it's ConvertKit. I feel like it's ConvertKit, the one that like asks you why you're unsubscribing every time, and it's optional, but it doesn't seem like it's optional. And I'm like, oh, these people with this ConvertKit, like, it drives me nuts. I'm like, just take it off. I know. I'm like, I'm not your ideal audience. I don't want to hear it. Like,
don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Not my job.
Yep. So, and that's another thing. Like, if someone unsubscribes from your email list, let it go. It's a self-cleansing system. They're not your ideal audience.
Yes. So, and that's I think that's the key, because in one of the conversations that I talk about the cleansing, the decluttering of your email list. Like, that's a perfect process that, to talk about. And, a lot of people have this connection to their 500 person email list or their 1,000 person email list. But my question to you is, how many of that number are actually active in your community? And the truth is, specifically, I'm going to use that 500 mark, right? Using that as kind of the catalyst here. So a lot of the systems set either 500 or 1,000 as that limit before you go to the next level in their system. So if you're on the free system, for example, and you have 501 people, all of a sudden you jump into a paid play plan automatically.
Yep.
Right. But let's say 250 of those people aren't active.
Yeah. They never
So
read any of your emails, right?
Don't read any, never open them, don't interact, nothing. Right. So now you're paying for something unnecessarily. So I'm like, why wouldn't you cleanse your system? And there is a whole process for cleansing your system, right? So you're giving them opportunities to change their mind or to say, hey, do you still want it?
Yeah.
And so after going through that, so from the process, just for conversation's sake, you start with step one, you're identifying it. A month to 6 weeks later is when you actually hit that delete button, right? So that if they have not responded to your communications within that 6 week period, let them go, because you don't want to have to pay for people that are not your people or aren't ready. And they could be your people, but just aren't ready to commit. And at that point, they can always sign back up.
Yep, exactly.
So
there's a lot of
changing the mindset.
Yeah. And there's a lot of technical things that go into that too. Like I deleted about 600 people off of my email list at one point because they hadn't read any of my emails for like 6 months. And I was like, you know what? Let me let them go.
Yep.
And then my open rates went from like 10% to like 30%.
Yes. And people don't realize how it affects your analytics, how it affects everything that you do. Because if you're basing it on, if you're looking at your email open rates, which a lot of people don't even know to do, but if you're looking at that, that helps you determine what is really working in your audience and where you need to put your attention. Yeah. So those extra people on your list are jacking that number up, whereas it's skewed. You don't really know if email A was the one that really you need to focus on versus, email D,
Yeah.
I always say A and 1 and 2 and jack it up, but y'all get my point.
Yeah.
Of just, which one really was the one of interest.
Yep. It definitely makes a difference. And it also increases your trust with the email provider, like, whoever your email management system is. It also increases your level of authority kind of with them, like your lack of spamminess. So I mean,
we're talking about emails right now, but honestly, within your business ecosystem, there are so many processes and tools and decluttering that has to be done or should be done in your environment as a business. I mean, most people, we were recently having a conversation with someone about the accounting side. They were looking at taxes and what they should do as a new business owner. And that led to so many conversations about process specific stuff in your business that it's like, if you haven't done these basic steps, you got to backtrack and get those done first before you even worry about these at the end, because all of that affects, the tax rate. All of that affects should you go out and get this resource or not. And you won't know those things unless you start putting the right processes in place.
Yeah. And just so everyone knows, Dana has a process for everything. And almost all of it is in Organized Academy. And if it's not, she'll put it in there.
We'll put it in there. I was about to say, I don't necessarily have processes for everything, but we can break it down,
exactly.
Organized Academy is really a community resource. That's how I like to look at it, of just providing people with the ability to get the answers that they need. And one of our members called it the organizing hub. Like, this is the organizing hub. And if there's something that you're trying to do, more than likely somebody else has tried to do it in the past. And so we've had conversation about that or training regarding that. And so that's available. But let's say you get in there and there's nothing for what you're trying to do. I have the availability of you reaching out to me, and I'll jump on a call. Amanda knows. I'll just, here, let me go get that for you, and I'll plug it in.
Yeah.
So we'll either do a webinar for the entire community, and we'll just use your case study as the topic, or we will, I'll do that offline and just put it out in the community as a release and just say, hey, this is available if you need it. So there's a lot of different avenues and ways to get help in Organized Academy. And I wanted to remove the barrier to entry for people, and the scariness of it, because as this person that you're hearing or seeing, I'm not sure if this is just audio or video audio, It's me. Like, this is the,
Yeah.
we laugh, we have fun. Like, there's
Yep.
no dumb questions. There's no, if I don't know, I'm not going to act like I know. I'm just going to say, oh, I don't know, but let's figure it out together,
Yeah.
and try to go things that route. So I love my members.
And that is why we love you, because you do. Like, if I'm like, Dana, what do I do about this? And you're like, oh, well, let's figure that out, and I'll put it
Yeah.
in the academy, and then you'll just go and learn,
Yeah.
like
At your leisure. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the other thing is, because I am a side hustler, I come from that mindset of everybody, we don't have time to sit and research something for hours, or I don't necessarily have time to log into this webinar at 12 o'clock or whatever time, because I've got 20 other things I've got to do.
Yeah.
So having these available for people to watch on demand is important, and being able to do it in short increments of time. So I know it's sometimes difficult for me to sit through an hour-long training, not only for my mental sake, but also just from an attention, people grabbing me type of thing.
Yes.
So I do try to have trainings that are somewhere between, I will say, 5 to 20 minutes. That's where majority of them are, or they're what I like to call mindset briefings, which may be longer in nature, but it allows you to just stop it and come back to it and be fine. But like the action steps that are there, they are designed in a way that take you from step 1 through whatever the step is to complete that item. Right.
Yeah.
So it's easier to say, okay, I've got 30 minutes. I can tackle something.
That's
and
awesome.
Get it done.
And if you are not an Organized Academy member, it is not only addressing business. So I know we've talked a lot about business and Organized Academy, but it also addresses home, it addresses business, and it addresses personal life.
Yes.
And I know Dana's working on a challenge right now as we're recording this that's coming up, but it will be available forever, right?
Yes. Yes. So, okay. The challenge, let's talk about the challenge right quick, and then we can kind of jump back if we have time to talk about the other pieces. But the challenge, so January is Get Organized Month, National Get Organized Month. So every January, I kind of reboot our, I'm so excited. The Declutter Club Challenge is usually rebooted in January. Now you can do that challenge anytime during the year. I actually recommend doing it quarterly. But it's done in different ways. Once you get in there, you can kind of figure it out. But it is free to be part of the Declutter Club Challenge. So if one of your listeners is not an actual OA Vault member, they can still participate in the Declutter Club Challenge. And that gives you a little flavor of how we break things down. And so the challenge, this is its 6th edition. Wow. And so each year the challenge has grown. So there are different categories of areas for you to tackle. And this is all focused on home. The Declutter Club Challenge right now, and I get excited about that, but right now it is focused mainly on home. There's a couple of business things that have been peppered in, but it takes, for example, sheets. Let's tackle our sheets and let's walk through how you do that the right way. Right? And you take whatever time you need to tackle your sheets. Then the next one is towels. Then it keeps going category by category. So by the time you finish the challenge, you may not have covered every inch of your home, but you will have, number 1, covered over 30 areas of your home. Number 2, you will have the tools to help you do that throughout other areas of your home as well, and other areas of your business and your life, because all the concepts I use in the Declutter Club Challenge are regurgitatable in other areas, right? Because the foundational language that I use to help you in the decluttering is the same language I use and teach throughout the entire Organized Academy. And that's the 5 stages of organizing. So I really just walk you through applying those into the various areas. So when we're looking at the 5 stages of organizing, the Declutter Club Challenge is helping to address the 2nd stage, which is decluttering. Yeah. And that's one of the hardest stages. And so I'm excited because we this year are for the first time adding in the Declutter Club podcast to accompany it. So all of our past members when they were going through the challenge, they would have various questions and I would just answer their questions, right? We used to have a Facebook group. We don't have that anymore just because of this. We're just busy. And it was like, no, let's cut that out.
Yeah.
So you just have a direct way to, you respond within the portal if you have questions or what have you. But the podcast is answering a lot of the questions that I get throughout the year of how to do something, or just talking through the mindset of decluttering, because it can really put a strain on your mind sometimes, because there's just some mental hurdles that you have to go through and you have to tackle in order to get to the end, right? Of, the emotional attachment that we have to our things. And so we kind of talk through some of those things and how I've tackled things in my own space, because trust, having an 8-year-old, we went through all the levels, right? So you've got the baby, the toddler, so that your emotional challenges shift with your children. Shifts with your spouse.
Yes. It does, as they grow through their life cycle.
I mean, like if you have a spouse who is attached to their things and you're like, I'm ready to let it go, I'm ready to really do some stuff in this house, and they're not, there are some hurdles you have to navigate through. And so we talk about those as well. So the challenge is free, like I said. And there are some little nuances or some additional information that is provided to Vault members. So to get the full gamut, you definitely want to be a Vault member, but you don't have to be. You can just sign up for the challenge and sign up for the podcast, and you will have, at least 50% of the content.
I have to confess that I did do a little cheating, and I went ahead and I looked at because I want to wait for January, but at the same time, I can't, like in my head, I'm like, oh, I want to see what Dana's
go for it. Yes.
So I looked at the towel one and the sheet one, which I think they're the first two, right? So I went through those, and the towel one I'm okay with. Like, I would love to just throw all of my towels out and get new ones. But the sheet
let them
one,
go. We're letting them go on to somebody else's.
The sheet one I am so challenged by, because like we're gonna eventually like move 2 of our children up to the 3rd floor, and then like, are they going to have a queen bed? Are they going to have a full-size bed? Are they going to have a twin bed? Like, what do I do? Like, should I throw them away? Should I just get them new sheets when we're ready? Like, all of these things go through my mind, and I'm like, oh my goodness, Dana has the answer.
I've got to make the navigation. So when are you planning on making this shift?
Sometime like this year.
Okay. Well, at this point, assume, so you're not sure, you have extra sheets and you're not sure if you should let them go because you may be moving to the thing. Okay. You fall into that category, which I need to add that as a section in that thing. Okay.
Yeah.
But ultimately for that particular scenario, I would say put those items that currently are extras, but you're kind of in that holding pattern, put them together in either a box or in a section of wherever they're stored so that you can easily identify, don't use these right now, but at the point when you make that decision of what beds we're going to put in this space, if they don't meet that category, then just pull them out and let them go.
Ooh,
right?
I love that.
So you don't, I always tell people, put it in a box and tape it up and put a date on it. But I mean, in this particular scenario, if you have the space to store them, go ahead and store them, and make sure those that are in the excess category are stored together and easily identifiable.
I love it. And I love that sound that you made. Let that go.
Yes. I mean, like that's a mental shift, right? So most of the time when I'm talking to people, they're like, you're going to make me get rid of, or I've got to throw, that has a negative connotation. Just saying that I got to get rid of it. But if I'm saying I'm letting it go, I'm giving it freedom to leave my home, right? Yeah. And when we're letting things go, it doesn't mean it's no longer serving anybody else. It's just no longer serving you. Yep. And so I look at things like that. And I also say, find your agency or your special donation place, right? Because when I know I'm giving it, for example, I had a client that was really had way too many towels and was really nervous about letting them go. And I'm like, okay, who can use towels? And so she identified an animal shelter. She's really big into animals, and she found an animal shelter who needed towels. So once she figured that out, it triggered her, and she was letting them go. It was freeing for her, because it was like, okay, they're good, they're perfectly fine towels, I just don't need them. So let me find someone who really does. And so once you connect those two dots, it was a no-brainer for her. And so is really helpful for her to just let those go. So
I love it. I think that's awesome. So I know we talked about the Declutter Club Challenge, which is awesome, and Organized Academy. So if you're not signed up for either of those two, go ahead and do it. But let's go back, and the last thing on our list to talk about is personal life.
Yes. I like to call this your soul, right? So as solopreneurs and as side hustlers, we are often pulled in so many directions, and we are trying to do all the things, which is not possible. Let me just say that for the record. But we're trying to do all the things and be all the things to everybody. And it's important for us to insert some self-care into this whole organizational structure, because unbeknownst to many people, it falls into the 5 stages just as much as everything else. And it's about really looking at the things that we are allowing into our space. And I'm not talking physical space necessarily, but it can be. But if you think of yourself as an entity, right? And I say, what am I allowing in my space, my bubble, right? What am I allowing in my bubble that is not serving me? And that is not serving what I'm trying to accomplish for myself. So I'm not talking about business. I'm not talking about my home. I'm talking about me as Dana. And so when we start really evaluating that, and I have a exercise that I like to take people through, where it is a struggle for many women, such a struggle to really strip that down and realize what really should I be focusing on for me? Because we have a hard time. I mean, we want to be, I want my family to be happy. And so our focus is always attuned to that. And I addressed this, or I brought it up in the Declutter Club Challenge when I talk about underwear and socks, because this is a perfect example. How many women have panties or socks that have holes in them, or have they're just worn out? And if we saw that on our spouse or on our children, we would quickly replace them, throw them out, whatever. But when it comes to us, we're sitting there dealing with it, right? And I laugh at it when I see it, because I'm like, no, this is ridiculous. Like, this is crazy. But we do this to ourselves, not only in those areas, but in all areas of our personal life. And so I address that with a lot of different things within Organized Academy, and just in webinars and one-on-one trainings that I do.
I did find a solution for that problem, and it's an underwear subscription, by the way.
Oh, let me tell you, like, I'm not gonna spill the beans here, so that if you want to hear this story, like, you have to join Declutter Club and just go to that. But I tell my story, and awesome. Every time I read it, it cracks me up, but that is my truth.
Oh my goodness. Now I have to go in there right now after we get off of this recording. I love it. And what is that lesson called?
It's the panty lesson. It's the undergarment lesson.
Okay. Totally going there after we're done. Because I can't not listen to it now. Right away.
But for the personal, in that, the personal training, or the soul training that I take people through, literally I built that from my own experience. So just what I have done over the years, and how I've progressed into who I am today. It all started with the exercises that I take people through, and really learning themselves. So it is, if I say so myself, it's an amazing journey, and it really makes you think about things in a different way.
Okay. I can't wait to do that one too. Yay. I love it. And I love that you're here again. Aww. And I love that you're sharing all of this amazing knowledge and expertise with us again. So,
oh yes, I love being here. I love you, Amanda. So
I feel
stuck with me.
That's good. I feel like we could literally do like 10 different podcasts. Of the things that came up out of this episode,
Yeah.
There's like 10 different things we could do, but yeah. So I am very excited that you are here again.
Yes.
And, thank you again. So
Yeah, you are welcome. And I'm so excited. Amanda, you can put your link down in the show notes, I guess, so that they'll know how to access everything. And I can't wait to meet your listeners over in the Academy and or the Declutter Club, whichever one they decide to get involved in.
Yeah. And where is the best place other than those two places to find you online? Like, where is your main hangout?
My main hangout. So in all these locations, I'm going to tell you, my handle is at LaRieal Morales, but I'm on Instagram. That's probably place number one where I kind of hang out. Then there is LinkedIn and Facebook. So those are the three. I don't do the others.
Yeah. Okay.
So don't look
TikTok,
at me.
No Snapchat, no.
Yeah,
I don't know what else.
And I mean, there's little sprinkles, but those are my three little places. Good. And then of course, dlmorales.com is my main hub. That's my website where you can find me and all the things.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dana. And
thank you.
Join the Declutter Club and OA Academy. Don't forget to join our Facebook group, Mastering Google My Business, to increase your revenue. You can go to facebook.com/groups/learngmb, and you will be able to network with other business owners and learn all about the latest and greatest updates to Google My Business. See you there.